Away, and today we're just going to preview the World Cup draw, which is happening later today in Washington DC. It's going to be held across the United States of America for the first time since 1994, with Mexico hosting games. They've previously held two tournaments, last being 1986, and Canada will be hosting games for the first time in Toronto and Vancouver. It will be the first World Cup to have 48 teams, so it's vastly expanded. And already we've seen quite a lot of newer nations take advantage of this by qualifying. Let's look at each of the four pots. They're split into 12 teams with one going in each group. The final pot has also got 6 undecided places left, as there is still a series of European playoffs and inter-confederation playoffs to decide who will take them final spots. So although it's technically a 48 team qualifying, there is still at least 16 or so more teams who will be looking out at this draw with an interest. Pot 1 contains the 3 host nations, United States, Mexico and Canada. So a lot of teams in Pot 2 will possibly anticipate, hopefully, to have one of these 3 teams to avoid one of the big guns. The next highest ranked teams in Pot 1 are Spain, Argentina, England, France and England. What this means is the way the format will be worked, these 4 teams will be kept separate in a draw, and so long as all 4 of them win the group, none of them can meet until the semi-final stage at the earliest. However, if either of them would finish second or third, then that goes out the window. And I prefer that rather than win. At the end of the day, to be the best, you've got to beat the best. Other teams in the top seed after that include Portugal, Brazil, Netherlands, Belgium, Germany. Now, no teams from the same confederation, apart from UEFA, can be in the same pot. Now, UEFA can have no more than 2 teams in one pot. That's because there's vastly big number more teams in UEFA. Now, pot 2, some big names here: Croatia, Morocco, who are one of my outsiders, Colombia, Uruguay, Switzerland, Japan, Senegal, Iran, who we played in the last World Cup, South Korea, Ecuador, Austria and Australia, to my surprise. Now, Croatia, again, we know they're a decent team. They were World Cup finalists in 2018. Morocco became the first African side to reach the semi-final, and at youth level have won the food slots, so keep an eye on them. Uruguay aren't a bad team with Belcia in charge. Japan always seems to perform well at World Cups, but just can't seem to get in that past that last 16 stage at the moment. Senegal did beat England in a friendly this year. Ecuador, again, they're probably the weakest of the South American sides, aside from Bolivia, if they were to qualify. Australia, I'd fancy. Nice to play the Aussies at football as well, but one of the more favourable teams. Saying that, you've got to beat anyone to beat anyone. If we did get Croatia at this stage, or Austria, we would then be guaranteed not to get another UEFA team, England, within the draw until the knockout stages. Same time, if Uruguay were the first team in Group D and Brazil were in there, they would automatically move to another group stage count in the same continents then. So basically, see that, you can understand. Pot 3, now we've got Panama, who England played in 2018 World Cup. Norway with Erling Haaland, a team who were my outsiders to do well. Not just Haaland, Odegaard. It's their first World Cup, just like Scotland, since 1998. Egypt still got influential players such as Bamus, Mo Salah, team who can cause problems, still got quality in the team and will fancy the chances. Algeria, who didn't do too bad at the 2014 World Cup. Scotland, it's good to hear a lot of Scottish fans saying they're not there to make the numbers up. They don't just want to be there to be part of the party. They see themselves as wanting to finally get into a knockout stage. I'd love it if we played Scotland. I love a good international rivalry. But they, like us, probably want to play other teams as well. Paraguay, Ivory Coast, Tunisia, Uzbekistan making their debut after many years of near misses. And again, some of their youth teams aren't doing too bad. One of their main players is at Manchester City. Qatar appearing at the second World Cup, but the first time they've qualified directly for a World Cup. Saudi Arabia and South Africa at their first World Cup since 2010. And South Africa had a points deduction but managed to win the final game to still get there. Pot 4, so another couple of new nations in here. Jordan, Cape Verde, Curacao, Haiti returned to the World Cup. New Zealand actually never lost a game in their last World Cup appearance. It drew 3. Ghana as well, who are probably the strongest of the teams there. Now, you've got pot 1, so one of these 4 teams from this first playoff, Italy, who'd say ultimately favourites, Denmark, Turkey and Ukraine in 1. In pot 2, playoff 2, the winners from Poland, Wales, Czech Republic, Slovakia. Pot 3, playoff 3, Ireland, Albania, Bosnia, Kosovo. 4, Romania, Sweden, Northern Ireland and North Macedonia. And then you've got the Intercontinental Federation playoffs, which is Iraq, DR Congo, who are in the final, and they will play the winners of Bolivia, New Caledonia, Jamaica, Suriname. I think that's the way it is, or it's one or the other. Jamaica, New Caledonia, Bolivia, Suriname. Yeah, so it's Bolivia, Suriname, Jamaica, New Caledonia. So, for England, the group of death would probably be, going back to it, worst draw, Croatia, Egypt, or you could say Uruguay, Norway, and then Ghana from 4, or Italy should they qualify. But to be, I say you've got to be the best, you've got to go out there, you've got to do it. It's not going to be a cheap World Cup, it's going to be pricey. Flights already gone through the roof for day. I'm going to try and get out there, but looking at a budget, I can do a week. That's probably going to be my limit. It's sad, but it's just the way football is at the moment. I've got nothing against the World Cup being back in the United States. Like South Korea, like Japan, it's left a legacy. The MLS is thriving. But one of these, at the moment, a lot of fans, there's been dynamic pricing talked about. A lot of loyal fans can be priced out of it, unfortunately. I'd prefer to play games in Mexico. I'd love to go to playing the Azteca in Mexico. Or even Canada, but Canada won't be in 2 stadiums, usually I can see even more demand being there. But we'll see what happens. Names that should be there: Harry Kane, Jonathan David, Lionel Messi, could this be his final World Cup? Mbappe, Cristiano Ronaldo, who's had his suspension conveniently lifted, Neymar, Vinicius Jr., Cortez, lots of other big players coming out there. Modric, is this going to be his last World Cup as well? Will Suarez make it for Uruguay? Mane at Senegal? For some of these smaller nations like Haiti, have got 2 ex-Oldham Athletic players, Johnny Placide and Duckins Nazans, should they be called up. So, Salah for Egypt, I already mentioned Haaland. It's going to be a very interesting tournament. It's going to be 4 games today, so if you're a football fan who can't wait to bring a sick in work or stay up to him to watch Uzbekistan play Haiti or some of the other teams, it'll be a good watch. It's some interesting to see how well it does go. Will there be mismatches? Who knows? Will there be upsets? We saw Saudi Arabia upset Argentina in the last World Cup. Who can remember 2010 when Switzerland beat Spain? Oh, teams that have won it have lost their opening games in the past before. But it's going to be, one thing, it's going to be a big festival. The heat is going to play a big part. We saw in the World Cup in the summer how hot it was. And unlike previous tournaments, the actual venues for teams will not be announced until tomorrow, where they're going to try and put, I'm guessing, the bigger countries, the bigger games, in a far bigger stadiums, which fair isn't a bad thing as well. Anyway, that's the preview. So I'm Tommy Oldham. Thanks for watching. See you on the terraces. Please subscribe.